Hey guys, happy Friday. Well, we've almost finished our study of the Native Americans of North America. We haven't done the Arctic yet, but I want to go ahead and give you this review activity that I have because it didn't have the Arctic on it anyway, and so we'll cover the Arctic next week. Um, but it's got some slides similar to what you've been seeing, but this time you're filling in the blanks. And it's also got some little pictures, drag and drop, so it looks kind of cool. So I'm actually going to go through and do the whole thing with you, basically give you the answers. So if you watch my video, you're going to have all the answers free, and then you'll go on over and complete it on your own and turn it in. So it doesn't get any easier than that, does it? So we're going to go ahead and start out with this first slide, the eastern woodlands, and I hope this works okay. I just learned how to make these little things drag and drop, and hopefully it works. So anyway, it works on my end. So eastern woodlands, remember, they're the ones that lived east of the Mississippi River in the area like where we live here. We kind of separated them into the northeast and the southeast, but they're all in the whole area on the eastern side of the United States where we have lots of trees, like I said, similar to where we live. All right, so here we go. They lived in the area between the Mississippi River and the blank ocean. Well, if you look over here, there's only one possibility as far as an ocean's going to go, and so drag that over there, Atlantic. All right, they hunted and grew the three sisters, which are, it's going to be corn, beans, and squash. Sometimes they don't want to drag, like you got to click. Sometimes it helps if you click off of it and then click back on it and drag it. I don't know why. All right, their clothing was made of animal, well, it's going to be hides. It's the only possible one there. They walked or used a type of boat called a canoe. Shelter, they lived in wigwams or longhouses. They conducted ceremonies to communicate with spirits. All right, so that completes that one. Moving on to the next one. The Northwest Coast. They're the ones that we read about recently. They lived up in the Pacific Northwest. Also have a lot of trees in that area. All right, they lived in the Pacific Northwest and they had a lot of blank in their environment. Well, I just got through saying it was trees. Okay, food. They ate plants and hunted animals from the forest. They also hunted whales and a type of fish called salmon. If you've ever seen the movie Brother Bear, it's like a Disney, I think. It shows that a lot with the bears hunt the salmon and then the Indians do as well. All right, clothing. Native Americans of the Northwest wore skirts, loincloths, or blankets made, there's a mistake there, made from the soft inner bark of a blank tree. Well, only one of these is a type of tree, so it must be this one, cedar. Scoot it over here. Okay. They either walked or, boy, I have some mistakes. Good thing I'm reading over this. They either walked or paddled a type of boat called again, a canoe, similar to a lot of the other groups. Sometimes you just click off of it and click back on it, and you can move it. Okay, since they had so many trees, they built, well, it could be either one of these, but it's under the heading of shelter. So that's going to have to be wood plank houses that goes there, since it's under the heading shelter. They made logs carved with painted symbols. Man, I'm having all kinds of issues here today. All right, called, and that's going to be totem poles. Carved. I'm going to fix that later, but anyway. Moving on, Southwest. These are the ones that lived in that four corner region that I showed you on the map down there with those four states, those four desert states, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah or Nevada? Utah. Yeah, I think it was Utah. Maybe it was Nevada. I don't know. I need to pull a map up. But anyway, those western states. So they lived in the dry desert southwest. Since it was so dry, they had to bring water to their crops through blank. Now, I don't know if we talked much about this. It might have been in one of your videos. But when you bring water to your crops, that is called irrigation. You may or may not have heard of that before. Farmers do it. They hunted small desert animals and, through dry farming, grew squash, beans, and the three sisters, remember? Corn. They grew cotton and raised sheep for wool. They then used these to weave their own blank. Well, what are you going to weave? It's going to be cloth, right? Make your clothes. Transportation. Before white men came, the Native Americans got around mostly by walking. They were in good shape, probably weren't overweight. They usually either lived in hogans or apartment-like homes made of adobe called blank. Their homes they lived in, the ones with the ladders they could pull up, really cool, those were the pueblos. Culture and traditions, they believed in spirits and used a type of doll to teach their children about them called kachinas, the kachina dolls. All right, so that is the Southwest. Moving down to the plains, they lived out the Great Plains, the traditional Indians that people think of, they're always in the movies and stuff. The geography, they lived in the area between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains. Their land was mostly, should say flat. The word flat is missing. Oh, it goes right here. Got to fix this one. All right, there we go. Easy enough. Flat. All right, they found a few wild plants to eat, but mostly ate meat from the bison. Some people call it buffalo. Pretty much the same thing. Click off, click back on, it'll move. They made their clothing from buffalo, what? Well, the hides, the skins, basically, where they would scrape off the fur and do a lot of stuff to make it soft, stretch it. Transportation. Before white men came, they walked everywhere. After white men brought blank, they used those. Well, that's horses. They used horses once those were here. Shelter. Some lived in lodges, but the nomadic means they move around. The nomadic tribes used blank because they were easy to take down and transport. Teepees. Teepees. There we go. Culture, they recorded their history on a circular type calendar using picture symbols. This calendar was called a winter count. It was in our book that we read. I'm pretty sure I remember pointing that out if you looked at my video when I read it. All right, so there's the overview of them all. Now this next page is pretty cool. Drag and drop the items below into the correct Native American culture group category. Not all items will be used. Oh, interesting. All right, well, we'll see what they will be. It looks to me like most of them should be used. All right, so we've got the plains, eastern woodlands, and the northwest coast. So totem pole, that goes with your northwest coast. The headdress, that is the plains Indians. The longhouse is going to be your eastern woodlands. Fish, I mean, they all fished when they could, but the one that relied on it the most is going to be your northwest coast. Teepee, those are your plains Indians with the buffalo. Wampum belt, that was the eastern woodlands. They used little shells, made wampum belts. Cedar plank lodge, well, that's your northwest where the big red cedars grow. A cedar salmon carving, well, again, northwest. So you can kind of see how their artwork just kind of all has that same look to it. Harpoon, again, to hunt a whale. You need that in the northwest. Deer, they all probably hunt deer if they could find them. The one that relied on it the most would be right here around where we live. We have lots of deer, right? Eastern woodlands. Wigwam, eastern woodlands. Deerskin clothing, well, that's going to follow where the deer are, probably. Eastern woodlands. The buffalo, that's your plains. The horse and travois. You know what? I took off the ones that wouldn't be used, so I need to change that in the directions. There were some tricky ones in here that they just threw in to throw us off, and I took those out. So they actually are all going to be used. The horse and travois, that was the plains Indians would drag. Remember, they were very nomadic. They moved a lot. Before horses, they used dogs, and they would drag um, things. And the Southwest also did, but they're not on this one. So birch bark canoe. Well, a lot of the groups use canoes, but the birch bark one was mentioned in the Northwest coast. Probably if you put it under Eastern woodlands, though, I would count it right too, because they did use canoes a lot. So put it in either one, really. So there we go. Let's move on down to the next slide. Drag and drop the items below into the correct Native American culture group category. They are all going to be used, so I'll take that direction out. I don't know if it'll let me take it out, actually. Yeah, it will let me take it out, because I got this from someone else and they won't let me change it. But I did take off some of the ones that wouldn't be used because I didn't really want to confuse people. All right, so again, we've got the same categories of people. Expert horsemen and hunters after the Europeans brought horses to America. Those are your plains. Origin of lacrosse, that's your eastern woodlands. Chiefs hunted whales in the Pacific Ocean, that's your northwest coast over there by the Pacific Ocean. Trees were scarce, that's going to be the plains. Nomadic means they moved around, that's going to be the plains. A chief gave away his wealth at a potlatch, that's going to be northwest coast. All right, didn't have much on the eastern woodlands on that one. I don't know why. Moving on down to the next slide, drag and drop, they're all going to be used because, again, I took out the ones that weren't going to be used just so we could use them all. And it just bothered me. It bothered me not using them all. So now we have either the southeast, that's down there, Florida, Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, even Kentucky as far as that. So that area. And the southwest, the dry, deserty area. All right, so wattle and daub hut. That goes over for southeast. Fish, going to be more southeast because it's so dry in the southwest, there was not a lot of water to go fishing in, except in certain spots. So naturally, your net's going to go with the fish. The kiva, that was the ceremony in the southwest, and it was in their adobe, the pueblos, they would have their kiva. The hogan, that looks very deserty like, so that's going to go with southwest. Cotton, they grew in the southwest. Corn, honestly, could go in either one. It was probably mentioned more in our southwest one, though. You think about southwest cooking and how they have the corn tortillas and the corn tortilla chips, and so corn just naturally seems like a thing for them. But honestly, the others did have some corn too. Corn was everywhere. And the Kachina doll, that was another southwest thing. So there we go. Moving on down, we have one more. Drag and drop the items below. They're all going to be used. We've got southeast and southwest again. Wool from sheep was used to make beautiful Navajo weavings. That's going to be your southwest, and the Navajo lived down there. Lizards and rattlesnakes down in the deserty area. Rivers, valleys, mountains, and swamps. That's the southeast, down in where the alligators are. The Green Corn Festival, that was in the southeast. The Pueblos, that's in the southwest. Dry, rocky, hot, that was in the southwest. All right, so that's it. That's all for today. So if you watched the video, you got all yours right, because I gave you the answers pretty much. And of course, some of you have your packets that might even have been helpful. So that's it. And you guys have a good weekend, and you'll be hearing from me on Monday, and hopefully Tuesday, I'll see you in person. Bye.